Shut up, Duncan. So this has kind of grown in sophistication, as I've mentioned, kind of since we started. So I have it set to 1/4 resolution here to make it easier to work with, which actually makes the VHS effect look a hell of a lot more realistic. But anyway, what is going on here? So to create that VHS effect, I have these sequences here. What I've done, basically, this is the same thing, this bit of video. Okay, so I have that layered 3 times, and that has what's called a chromatic aberration effect. So that's how the colours shift. So each one represents red, green and blue, and I've manually shifted the colours around to create that effect. So if we come up here to colour balance, you'll see that blue is at 39. Now if I move blue, what happens? You see that there? It kind of goes yellow because I fucked around with the colours. So I just move that back. So basically you separate the 3 colours and you shift them around to create the effect of the colours being separated. The other thing that's going on here is you'll notice this VHS look here. So that's just a green screened effect of VHS interference. And so I downloaded that. How do I undo the key? Actually, if I delete the Ultra key effect, you see what that looks like. Okay, so we all know how green screen looks. You know it's kind of slightly opaque, which is just to help sell the effect. I use the Ultra key effect to take out the green. So if I show you how I did that, let's go into Ultra key, drag that here. By the way, it's not a tutorial. I just thought you might be interested. Click on that, and that keys out my green. It's a very standard effect. Okay, so that gives us our kind of tracking effect. You'll notice as well something else that we've done is you see this line here, it kind of rolls. There's like a shift. That's just something that I've added to this adjustment layer, so that's called a wave warp. And the wave warp, that's just to add that bit of distortion. It kind of sells the effect. And you'll also notice the noise. So the noise adds that kind of grain. You see the grain there. So if I just delete this adjustment layer, you'll notice it, and then it's just smooth. And the effect doesn't work quite as well without that. So there you go. So I've built that up. I used to have just a standard test card, but I've replaced it with Morgan's art because it's fucking great, you know. Got this kind of thing here, this kind of bars and tone thing. That's just something from Premiere. I just think it sells it quite well. We come to the end of the project. So, yeah, so this already existed, our little kind of red bubble ad, and all I've done, I've used this adjustment layer to add the grain and stuff. I haven't bothered with the chromatic aberration on this because I haven't had time, and I honestly not sure that anyone particularly notices. If I did, I would like to at some point, but I do want to I want to change that ad because we have a bit more of an offering now in the shop, so I did want to change that at some point. It's a constant time issues, I suppose. The very important credit section. It's very important to us that people get credit because you know, we've both been in a situation before when credit wasn't received, and I'll say no more. So yeah, and we did it in the VHS font because it just, again, it's supposed to look like it's coming from some sketchy broadcast from some sketchy country, which is what Val Verde is. And we're going to update these in a minute actually because we've had a bunch of new patrons come in, so we'll copy those in from a spreadsheet. Standard kind of sorts of patron thing, and then like I said, I've modified the test card to reflect, you know, I wanted to in one place integrate my artwork with Morgan's, and I think it looks quite nice. Or Morgan's artwork, just to be clear, is far in advance of anything I've cobbled together, you know. So yeah, there we go. And chromatic aberration is kind of really obvious on the test card. So there you go. So my in and out graphics, there's a logic there. It's supposed to reflect, again, sketchy broadcast from a foreign country, and it's evocative of kind of grainy VHS stuff. Of course, when we come in here, this is the supposedly where we're, no, it is where we're based. It's the propaganda Ministry of Verde Broadcasting. This is by Jason Nez. Jason Nez created this, and I asked him for permission to use it. And obviously, he gets credit at the end. For some reason, ever since Premiere updated to the 2019 version, it doesn't preview the zoom, but there's a zoom element here, so it does zoom in when we export, but it won't here for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that kind of subtly zooms in, and I've overlaid I've started overlaying our preamble there because I think it's quite nice to show that we're inside that building, and there's a little preamble of our audio. So you see, that's the JPEG layer, and then we go into the MOV layer, the actual episode. That's us there. Lower thirds I made from scratch. They're not as easy to work with as I'd like, frankly. They're kind of a little bit of a bosses, but I think they look good, but they need work. So if we come in here, you'll notice that Rich and Duncan's names are reversed because jumping from left to right, and the problem is I'll set something up and I don't fix it because I just find I'm under so much time pressure with other shit. It's a pain in the ass. So if we go in here, this is what's called a nested sequence. So we go inside the nested sequence. So this is, I can hide these things. So that's my name, that's my Twitter handle, that's the Twitter logo, and then there's another nested sequence here, which is why I've created this animation. So basically a white line comes across, and I get rid of that, and then I've made it so this grows and pops in. Oh no! Oh god. Well, anyway, you get the gist. Like this kind of pops in and disappears. That's just made it different layers. I designed this I designed the logos and branding myself in a piece of software called GIMP before I had Photoshop. And GIMP's kind of like it stands for Graphic Image Manipulation Program, and it's kind of a free alternative. It's like an open source alternative to Photoshop. So, as you probably noticed, this episode is pretty much here. It's basically done. So I slammed this in the timeline not long after we filmed it. It's a time efficiency thing, basically. So if I just hit play.
I was a bit kind of like, oh god, that's not good. And when the trailer came
By the way, I think you might... Yeah, you're probably going to see this before this episode comes out. And I know some of you will have watched it on the stream, or maybe all of you have watched it on the stream anyway. But this episode's pretty funny because firstly, the dog had only known Duncan for 24 hours. And when we swapped seats, the dog freaked the fuck out and just wanted to be with Duncan. Also, Duncan, it would appear, is quite allergic to his dog. So you can see the fucking... just got It's not a happy face. It's not a happy face. He's having a season fit. So the start of this episode on Zack Snyder's Man of Steel is not ideal in terms of composure, let's say. So I'm just going to quick save that in case of crashes and stuff. It's not beyond the power of my computer to crash at the moment because I'm fully aware of the issue. It's a hardware thing because I've just made some changes and I need to follow through on them, and I'm kind of dragging my feet a wee bit. So there you go. So what I do, I've already selected where I'm going to put the clips in the episode, and these days I keep the old the pre-Morgan test card. I like to keep, because I'm nostalgic for it, and I do like it. You never see our faces because the clips are in the way, but I keep it there. You notice I've gone in, so that's just if we look at this, let's have a wee look. So on the top layer here, that is just a text layer, common or garden text. It's in the font is called VCR OSD. If you want to go get it, it's a free font, and it's the cool VCR font. I've added a shadow, which your VCR wouldn't have had, but it's to make it stand out from the background. So this is a kind of fair use thing to guard ourselves in terms of fair use. It has the name of the director, the name of the film, the year, and the studio, which is kind of ties into the way you reference films academically as well, but it's not exactly the same. But it's there. And beneath is a nested sequence. So I have done a mild chromatic aberration effect here as well, just to sell that, but I didn't go in too hard. I don't put the grain and the wave warp I don't put on the clips because I just think it's a bit obnoxious. I mean, it would tie into the broader fiction of Val Verde, but I just feel it'd be like a little bit obnoxious to have it over all the clips. And plus, you want the clips to look as good as they can, I suppose. But who knows? We might all get bummed by Article 13, right? So who gives a shit? So clips of 15 seconds. It would appear that the algorithm collects things above 15 seconds if you're not careful. So all clips are 15 seconds or below. And they occupy a kind of small window within a window, again, to help kind of fool the algorithm, essentially. I'm not going to lie about that. So as I say, I've gone in previously and I've already assembled those. So I just want to step back a minute just to explain something else. So like I said, I've skipped a few steps. Everything is in place just now. And obviously the template I just load up every time I need to do it, update the Patreons and so forth. That is what it is. So we need to talk about some other windows. I normally assemble everything here, like I say, and there's nothing in there right now. So I assemble everything in here first before I move it out to the main thing there. And you might be thinking, well, what are you talking about? Okay, so let's just assume we've come into this project from scratch. Over in my other monitor, which you can't see, I have my footage bins. I have my project in my footage bin, and I have my source monitor over here. So that's the clip that you've asked to preview, and these are your bits and pieces. Shit. Okay. Bring that back over here. I've had this weird problem. Ooh. Okay, I just need to save. My mouse has started to pack in, and I fucking trust it to do it whilst I'm trying to show people how this shit works. Control S. Yeah, my mouse has started to sort of disconnect itself, and then it reconnects itself, and the pointer disappears in Premiere, which is no good. You don't need that. Sorry, I keep clipping the mic by coughing. So rather than awkwardly cut, I'm just going to reload. Premiere there, and we'll kick back in. Hope you're entertained. This increasingly taxes my ability to just talk endlessly, which might be quite fun. I don't know. Well, look, but you guys pay to listen to us speak on the internet. It might be quite fun to listen to me talk endlessly. I assure you that being my friend is very taxing for this exact reason. But, if you come and get it for half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour, a week, it's better than knowing me personally, because I just won't shut the fuck up. But anyway, that was a quicker turnaround than I hoped. So we're back into the edit. So, yeah, I could pick up where I left off. So, like I was saying, I've got my footage bins over here. So this is the project window. So this is where you keep all your footage, you keep your titles and such. So I've got there's the old clip window. There, for example, is the Twitter thing. I think I can get rid of that. That's a clip from another episode. All my nested sequences and stuff are here. I would generally recommend when you're doing projects to keep everything quite organised, but because it ain't broke is essentially generic. Yeah, look, okay, so there's another bin. I copied this template from one of Steven's episodes, but there you go. Probably BVS. Keep your bins tidy, but I'm not for this one because it's, it is what it is. So if I was, for example, to click on this footage, I'm then given it here in the source monitor, and then I take what I need, so I can, for example, mark in, mark out, and if I drag that to the timeline, the selected area will appear on the timeline. Get that out of the way, and I can look at that here. Of course, that's not what we want to do for this, because we want the entire clip. So we'll just get rid of that selection. So what we would do, the camera will automatically cut the clips in half after a certain point. So you notice this one is 18 minutes, this one is 11. We didn't have any camera operators in that day. We rarely do. So this was just one continuous take. So I know if I drag this to the timeline, this one's 24, so this was the first one. Zoom out there. I'll know that that's the first clip. And because there's no actual gap, no one's actually pressed stop start, the camera's done that, I can put these together and they'll just sync. And that's that. Okay, so we've come in, we're just pretending here that we've come in for a new project, and we're getting things together. So I'm just going to move the source monitor out of the way there. If I click go, so what you're hearing there, I have a Rode video mic, which is it's this kind of cheap little mic. It's made by Rode. Rode's a good brand, but I would never use that mic for my project audio. I plug the Rode shotgun mic into the camera to collect clearer audio than the camera's mic, which is awful for purposes of syncing. What am I talking about with syncing? Okay, well, what resides between the chairs, which you can see in my shot there, is my zoom. I've got a zoom 2 as well, but that's a zoom 1. The zoom records separate, clearer audio into our lav mics. So for this situation, I have a zoom there on a tripod, and we both wear lav mics that run up our shirts, and we record to this MP3 file. I don't even record it in WAV for the purposes of this. If for pro jobs, I record it in WAV. It's less compressed, but it doesn't really. People don't tend to notice so much in it. I'm really trying not to make it sound like I'm a lazy fuck, but people, it doesn't get noticed so much in this. I wouldn't take the risk necessarily on a pro job, because that on a pro job, someone may come to me and say like, "Oh, I would like that uncompressed audio, please, for something else," and I have to go like, "Yeah, Whereas that's not going to happen here. So I just record it to MP3 natively in the device. So if I record, just drag that there. So in your Premiere timeline, you have the video tracks, which are the V's, the audio tracks, which are the A, and I can mute them or, vanish them here and here. So traditionally, and up until only a few years ago, so for example, we used to use Marantz recorders and stuff at my uni, and we used to record to when I first started doing film, we recorded to mini disc recorders, which compared to what came before that was even more high tech. What exists now is this. So I've used my Rode mic on my camera to record this audio track here, which is clearer than the in-camera mic, but still not good enough, let's say, for quote-unquote broadcast or YouTube. Adobe Premiere in the last few years has introduced a feature where it automatically syncs the audio for you. So there was a time where you would do a clap, or indeed that's what a clapperboard is for. And when you had that sharp peak on your audio, you could look at your waveforms and just match them up, and you could drag and drop to the appropriate place. Okay, or even before you could actually see waveforms, it was just you would listen to the audio and then watch when the hands came together on the clap or the clapperboard. So, for example, I've edited 60mm film on a Steenbeck machine, and that was the case for sync sound. And you would also have sound on a magnetic tape, and it was just it was sublime. Actually, I really, in terms of learning my process, I thought that was really essential. I thought it was really interesting, but knowing I don't have to do it is kind of great. It's kind of like cutting down a tree with a flint axe versus having a chainsaw. That's the best analogy that I can think of. And again, this isn't necessarily an educational process. I just thought you might find it interesting. So what we can do now, rather than any of that, so if I take my tracks here, if I select my kind of native combined track with my audio, right click, and we just have this wonderful thing, this wonderful thing. I mean, ever since I went pro and this feature's been introduced, oh my god. So we click that. We click to audio, which is already selected, mixed down, which I always use. Okay, so it's going to take a minute there just to kind of figure things out. So it's processing that. So yeah, that will happen. The bar doesn't normally fill up; it just kind of clicks through. There we go. So that's synced up. So if we listen to it now,
okay, it was menacing and impressive and grey.
It was menacing and impressive and grey. So what we have there is a situation whereby you can hear both tracks. So it's okay because you could hear the nice green one, but the blue one was in there as well. So what I would normally do for the purposes of our ears and for just checking things out, hit mute.
There's this huge kind of 9/11 finale,
And there you go. It's much cleaner. So we have a situation at the moment where I'm just filming with one camera. Like breaking my leg and stuff has made things really difficult. So I've stepped back from doing multicam episodes for now, and I would like to bring multicam back because I think it's more professional and just a nicer look, and I think it's better for you, the viewer. But at the moment we're shooting single cam because I've got too much going on in terms of trying to get my life in order and shit. So I'm shooting single cam. So like I said before, this has been divided by the camera, so I don't have to sync this. I can just drag that there, and there we go.
3D history lesson.
Okay, so that's all synced out. Okay, so what I would do in terms of making an episode, I'm happy with that. Drag these two so they sync up. That's all linked. Make sure you've got your kind of snap thing enabled there, snap button enabled. Then I could just kill the native tracks, and then there you go. And I've muted that, so unmute that.
And there's been things since,
and we're done. Yeah. Okay, so I've done that. I've synced it up. What I would do as well normally. So this is the kind of fucking about that you don't normally see. So this is me and Duncan dicking about, talking about lunch. Though, again, I don't know how many of you watch the stream, but those who watch the stream will be very au fait with what was said on the day and stuff. And if you're watching this, you're on a $3 tier, and you can go back and watch the stream if you want. It's entirely up to you. So I'd find the point where Duncan and I begin talking and cut to that. So.
yeah.
Greetings, Val Verde. Welcome back. Oh no, I need to do a song, don't I? Oh.
So this is the thing. Now we do song lyrics to the beginning of every episode. Duncan and I just think it's funny, so we do random song lyrics. Right, I've just found Duncan's input. He's just realised what song he's going to do. So.
Da 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 da. Is all I want to say to you. Welcome back to Val Verde.
There we go, lovely. So,
Do.
and what I do, bring it a few seconds before, so I can get that little kind of preamble that we put in every episode.
Song, don't
Oh yes,
I?
yes.
And then all I would do is copy this, go to my template here, put it in there, and dump it. Well, I haven't copy and paste that, probably doesn't matter, and put that in place, which leaves us where we are. I use the same music track every week. That's moved. Like I said, the template is what the template is. I constructed that. That's evolved over a number of months, and it's still evolving. Oh God, what have we done here? Yeah, need to re-enable those tracks. So this is all here, ready to go. And when we did multicam, the process you've just seen, I would do that with these blue feeds from the camera. I would do that 3 times over, get it all up, and then what I would do is sit and comb through the episode and cut between cameras, which is very, very time consuming. It takes a couple of hours, which is fine, but unfortunately, the amount of time spent on the channel versus the amount of return I get and having to feed myself and shit, I can't do it right now, but we will go back to that. And I really want to end up shooting everything in 4K at some point as well. So we've reached a point now, let's say, where the episode is pretty much ready to go. All we need to do is get some clips. So our show's about half hour. I think this one stacks up to the kind of half hour mark. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clips to go in. They're kind of every 5 minutes or so. And this is Man of Steel. So there is a process for getting clips together. I'm just going to move that window out of the way. So where do I get my clips? Well, in terms of what we use, there's old Suggs again. We use YouTube to source clips. So if I just I was listening to the Beatles before I got to Madness. So we put Man of Steel clip. Okay, and we have various clips of Man of Steel. Now, I have a method to get I have a method to get clips from the internet. So there's this application here, which is called ATube Catcher. Now, ATube Catcher isn't perfect, and there's probably a better way to do it. But again, I haven't been able to give this enough time to just sort of go, well, here's how I'm going to do that. So what you do is you find your clip of choice, you paste it into ATube Catcher, and in theory, ATube Catcher gets it for you. So here's my Man of Steel, for example. It's got captions on at the moment. So depending on the source, it may or may not let you download it. So go here, paste the URL, and let's see what we get. Yeah, so that one's working fine. Okay, great. So we need 5. Let's get some from a few different sources. So, Man of Steel full movie. You absolute jokers in 5-minute chunks. That must be infuriating. Okay, so here's a bit of Superman acting like a psycho. So you'll notice this was a different aspect ratio. This is more in kind of Academy ratio, so that it doesn't cause any problems. It's just some things are kind of matted off and some aren't. It doesn't really matter. See if that one will work. Okay, all right. We're on a roll with Man of Steel's clips, which is unusual. I've got to say, I mean, I haven't found I've had to be particularly discerning over these ones. I mean, as long as they're illustrative, I think it's to break up. People, they don't necessarily have to relate to what's being discussed on screen, though it helps. But it they don't have to. As long as the film's illustrated, it breaks up the singular image of 2 dudes sitting in a room, basically. Okay, let's see. So, I mean, Man of Steel Superman is just such a psycho. I just find him awfully unsympathetic. But there you go. Okay. So yeah, these are going to do nicely. These will fill up the episode. So we've basically got the oil rig already. I could put a Superman Returns clip in for the lols, but I'm not gonna. It's just asking for trouble, isn't it, really? What we got going on just now? So, oil rig, throw my other Zod bar scene. Okay. So if you don't skip that, sometimes you can end up downloading the ad. You can also end up downloading playlists if you're not careful. Oh, nice suit. Hey, look, well, you'll see when you watch the episode, but I don't like Man of Steel, but I find it frustrating because it's so very close in a lot of ways, and I really like Russell Crowe as Jor-El. I think he's great, and the stuff it took from Grant Morrison I thought was really, really nice, but it kind of stops there for me. So there you go. Okay, so this Error 403, certain things you just can't download, you filthy pirate, so gotta get rid of that. I don't necessarily need 5 clips, by the way. If one's like 3 minutes long and there are 2 markedly different pieces of material in them, so there's a transition to a completely totally different scene, you can use that, and you can divide up the clip that you've got already. So let's try this one. So again, that's another kind of wide anamorphic. Look, he's got green on his face. That's kryptonite, or it's kind of compression artifacts, but whatever, guy, whatever you're saying. Where's my booze? I want my fucking drink. I want my fucking drink. So we're gonna wait till these are ready. Let's queue up some hot fuzz as well, because I'm gonna be all over that in a minute. So I got 4 in a can. It works to my advantage to get 4 done in a hit if I can. It has happened for a while. Get them done in 1 hit and then I don't have to worry about them, because there's so much other stuff going on with the channel and the streams and stuff. And also what I like to do, we completely failed when Stephen McCullough came on board for a few episodes. We were supposed to break this up with other episodes, but Duncan lives an hour away and we couldn't meet up and film together, so we couldn't do that. So I just put out 4 episodes back to back. We put out 4 Stephen episodes back to back, which was dumb. The idea here is that we're going to kind of break these up with different people. So Ivan's going to review Infinity War with me. Should be the next episode that comes out, which you probably will have seen that by the time this drops on Patreon. And Toby's coming back to do some stuff, so I'm going to try and break these up, because none of these are time sensitive in particular. These ones that we've got going on. So, it doesn't matter terribly if we don't get these out in short order. And I'm doing some more esoteric stuff with Toby, which no bugger's going to watch, but fuck it. As long as we enjoy talking about them, that's all that matters, really, isn't it? All right, so our clips are done. So I've got a folder somewhere with those in. Just on my other window here, sorry guys. So I'll bring up Premiere again. I want the clips in my project, so we got here. You'll see I've got Bone Tomahawk and Daleks and all these other clips and stuff we've done recently. So if I take my Man of Steel clips and I'm just going to drag them into my footage bin here in the project window. It's going to take a wee second. You might be able to hear my my computer revving up like a fucking jet engine in the background as it does. You need a pretty meaty computer for this, for the Adobe Suite stuff. Let me just check.
DCE now, although I think at the time it wasn't necessary. I mean, that could have been a good pick. That's my fault.
This is brilliant.
This is not happening. Oh god.
So sad.
Lay down.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Okay, so the average peak here is around 18 minus 12. We're really bad for clipping the mics. We don't have a sound engineer kind of adjusting. You want the average to be about -6, really. So when I record interviews and stuff for work, keep it at -6, because the interviewers, when I go and interview some like finance bods or whatever, they don't peak the mic with their girly squeals like I do. So let's. I'm going to set the gain to -6 and see where that takes us. This is something that can often take a while, and it's not unheard of for this to cause crashes either. Press Control S as much as you can, because you can sort of inspire a crash. No, I totally fucked that up. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to adjust the gain by 6, because it's about 12.
Theme in it.
Yes.
That was really lovely.
What other one?
Like, you know, like the.
Close your ears.
Sorry, Doug. Yes. Ooh.
Okay, so that's not quite there. I'm going to adjust that. It's at 6. I'm going to adjust that down -3, and let's kind of split the difference. Keep
It's
it in the
like
middle.
the whole Black Mirror thing of having to.
Stuff that wants Batman.
Yeah, that's okay. That's keeping it between 12 and 6. What you don't want is up here where it goes red and it clips the mic, which we do sometimes, but it's kind of quite hard to control when we don't have a mixing desk and shit. So, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clips to fill. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clips from Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. So what we got? Superman bar scene, Superman meets sword, oil rig. Okay, so I'm going to take a bit from the oil rig. Now the thing here is that you don't want to, you have to be aware of the existing cuts in your footage, and I'm looking for my 15-second bit. So you want something that's going to stand out, but isn't going to be too fractious when you insert it into your project, because you don't want something that, I don't want my cut to end 3 seconds, or half a second before their cut, for example. It needs to kind of flow, because it's very easy to bodge this. Okay, so this is it's a very kind of Superman-y image, or at least, I wank off about kind of Randian imagery in this, so I'm thinking I could end on the close-up of Cap. It's almost as if Zack Snyder has a thing about men's abs. So I'm thinking that's going to flow quite well. I tend to work backwards on these. So, you have to take it from where it ends really and work back. Oh, one thing I've forgotten. Disable the audio tracks, because otherwise it's going to drop in your audio from the trailer, which is going to sound ugly. Hold on. So me and Duncan's audio and the music is there. So let's spin that back and see if that clip works.
I don't think they had a grand plan for it at the time. But anyway. So I remember...
It's alright, there you go.
Yeah, that's good. So the incoming shot's quite long, so it doesn't jar when we come to it. And the outgoing shot's fairly long as well. And it's on his belly button. So that's good, that works. We're liking that. So what we're going to do, we'll click on this one. We want to scale it, we want to make it smaller. So you'll see up here in Premiere, you have the scale option. These are the standard kind of options in Premiere. So we're going to scale that down. I said we're going to scale that down. Yeah, here we go. Okay. All right, scale it down, and then you've got position. So you've got up and down, left and right. I think I can probably get away with a bit more scale there. Maybe not, Jackson. Maybe not. Okay, so...
I don't think they had a grand plan for it at the time. But anyway. So I remember... after the sort of Superman Returns of it all, Winston...
It's alright, there you go.
You might
Okay, so the issue we have there is that there's a bit of comedy from the dog, and what happens is if we make some kind of physical joke or gesture and obscure it with a clip, the joke or gesture is not going to land. It's the first time we've introduced a dog, and some funny stuff was going on with the dog landing on Duncan's balls, so we don't want to obscure that. So. Okay.
Yeah, after the Superman Returns of it all, I remember thinking, they really need to let go of the Christopher.
Okay, so let's just check that nothing
Yeah, very much so. It's
dog
not
humorous is going on. Yeah, there's the dog standing on Duncan's balls.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been better.
There we go. Oh, he's such a suit. He's all over that mic. Okay, sorry. He'll settle. We're going.
Let's bring it all the way back.
Come here.
Good boy.
The reason...
No, it's not going to work, is it? There's too much going on. So let's get the doggo. There we go. All right. Here's a good...
There we go. I'm so glad the internet is seeing this live.
Chaos. Yes, super. Yes.
Okay, great. So this is what I'm talking about. I mean, personally, if I had more time, I would insert more visual gags and overlays and stuff. And when we first started, I used to put some kind of little kind of comedy factoids on the screen and stuff, but it became time consuming. And at the moment, my process when I put these together is that I am relying on the inherent comedy of the scene, because we are, I hate to say this, but it's supposed to be funny. I hate to say we're trying to be funny, but it's supposed to be funny. And if something's going on like that and you obscure it, it takes away from the humour, and the overall episode, suffers. So,
I remember
dog fucking about.
Sort of,
let's just see if this
do
scans.
you remember the teaser trailer, which was literally B-roll plus him just shooting up through the sky? And that sort of looked like it had, I mean, obviously there wasn't much information in it, but it was kind of like, I wonder, is this going to be good?
So you may be thinking I should be putting a clip of the teaser in there because he mentioned it. It doesn't matter that much in my experience. Yeah, it would be. Do you know what? If I had more time, I got 4 of these to make. If I had more time, yeah, I would seek out and put the teaser on there. But we're not going to do that. I mean, I think that works just fine. And it's very important to keep one. You know, in the first 5 minutes, you see my time code here. Keep a clip in the first 5 minutes to sort of establish. You know, it's important establishing stuff. Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on to what's being said next.
What other one?
Flyby. And
Oh, I see. Sorry.
because there wasn't enough action.
Yeah. Which is, you know, a fair criticism of that film. I do think that it's not, but then it's not that type of action that's lacking. It's the sort of Superman saving people stuff. That
Okay, so we're talking about action. I think, you know, the obvious thing here is this whole Smallville situation. Like I said, this one's in a different ratio. It doesn't really matter because it's clips and it's going against the background anyway. I could matte this off. I have done that before, but I could matte it to a 1080p and then scroll it down. It really doesn't make a lot of difference, to be perfectly honest with you. Ultimately, the clip is the clip. I don't think people are that bothered. Oh, look, this one, I like that bit. That's one of the bits I like in this film. I'm talking about like that 3 seconds. And it's him sort of realising he's got powers. Michael Shannon as well is fucking such a good pick for that role. I just wish it was directed by anybody else. So the context of this anyway is action. So let's get the maybe let's get the petrol station blowing up. Okay, so and you know that's quite good because it ends on a shot of our character. It doesn't have to, but it ends on the shot of Superman, and that's why we're here. Just going to scroll that back. Put that in here somewhere. I thought I didn't disable that track properly. That was this one. I need that turned off for the just if you don't want your soundtracks kind of appearing because that's no use to me. I'm not using the sound. So let's have a look at this.
yeah. Which is, you know, a fair criticism of that film. I do think that it's not, but then it's not that type of action that's lacking.
Now, is that the right shot? Yeah, I feel that looks like 2 shots. And we're talking about a frame here as well. So if I'm not comfortable with a single. One of the worst things you can do is leave a single frame in. It's so obvious because it's something that just tips someone's brain off.
Then it's not that type of action that's lacking. It's the sort of Superman saving people stuff. That
Yeah, Superman.
One thing that frustrated me about Man of Steel, and it's been a film you and I have had a lot of toing and froing over the years.
Yeah, I think that works nicely. Again, I could get a clip of Man of Steel, but I've got a bunch of these to get through, and I sincerely hope this isn't disappointing to you at all. In that I'm sort of saying like I've got to do this, I've got to do that, but it comes from a place whereby I've got my job to get on with and stuff, and hey, look, sooner or later this will be my job. That's the dream, right? I mean, sincerely as well. I would love nothing more than to do this full time. So I will continue to dream. In the meantime, enjoy this video. Enjoy my process.
Superman does kill.
As a binary,
Yeah.
yeah, Superman kills.
Yeah.
But I frame it in the same way as Batman. There's a binary Batman. But Batman killed for about.
Okay, so really I need to get, if I was going to place that here, I would need Superman or Batman killing someone. I think that's 2 on the nose to ignore, so I'm going to drag this back and see what's here.
You shouldn't.
No.
Someone wrote it. It's not. Well, you couldn't have those people want that, and it's like no, because someone wrote it.
I think as well. It's one thing to put Superman in a life-death situation. That I have no problem with. It's the way they do it. You know, it's like.
Okay, this whole section is about that, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna use some of the bar scene. I think the reason for that, I don't have the clip of Superman killing, and in a situation where I'm making 4 of these, I don't really want to go back trawling for that right now. The broader context of what's being discussed is Superman's morality, and I had, it doesn't matter for this purpose, but I have issues with the way Superman's morality is portrayed in this film, and I think this is a good scene to demonstrate that. Now. Also, I like that this is relatively low-key. We've had 2 big kind of action smash-ups that end in a similar way, i.e. a dynamic shot with Superman. I don't want to repeat myself. Looking at this, I think that one clip is just going to be him walking out. It's a bit dreary. Maybe if I get him throwing the drink on him. Yeah, okay, that's a bit more. Superman walking away. We don't have to end on Snyder's edit. We can, put our own edit in there. Okay, the point for me at this moment is that it's about, oh fucking hell, that's huge. It's about Superman's morality. So
No.
I think it's broadly contextualising what's being said.
It's not what people want out, and it's like, no, because
Okay, so we have a similar issue. We can't have that guy. That being said, we've missed the drink being thrown. Ooh. But he does, yeah, he takes a pop at him. And yeah, she starts. Okay, so I think in terms of the kernel of what's being said, I think that's legit. So that's fine. I'm going to cut it in there. This one's kind of mattered in a weird way, but again, this doesn't really matter as long as it's demonstrative. I think. Whoop, easy. Now I had the wrong bit selected. I want to have that selected. Shrink this down a bit. By the way, yeah, some of you who know kind of editing stuff might want to know why these aren't pre-rendered. And it's because I want to be able to change them dynamically. I don't want to have to kind of drag the whole template every time. Same goes for the end, because the project would actually run a lot smoother if they were. Probably run, and it would, as a matter of fact, would render quicker. But I want to be able to kind of change them, which I've been doing as a process since we started. So that's why those things are like that. It's essentially, I want it to be modular. Okay, so let's come in here.
Shucks, golly, Superman. That's like, I think he just really tries to avoid, and it's like he pays it lip service, where he's got Batman saying Superman's the beacon to the world and all this sort of stuff, and it's about hope and all this kind of thing. And it's like, is that just so that you can then get away with having carnage and stuff like that?
and you pay lip service to stuff, but then you have the absolute kind of icon of that in the Superman fiction is Jimmy Olsen. And your solutions.
I don't have a clip of Jimmy being shot in the head, but I'm not terribly bothered by that. What I do have, yeah. So, again, thematically, so I don't specifically have Jimmy Olsen being shot in the head, but what I do have is one of, again, why, and this is a personal thing, why have Superman being swallowed by a mountain of skulls? It absolutely illustrates the kind of pointless, icky darkness of this film, in my view. And that's something that I've tried to get across in the review, so I think this is a good clip for that. Oh, fuck off. I think this is a good clip for that. So I didn't drag that across when I was describing what I was getting, but I'm getting the... Wow, I was pretty on the nose about that. So let's see.
He tries to avoid, and it's like he pays it lip service, where he's got Batman saying Superman's the beacon to the world and all this sort of stuff. And it's about hope and all this kind of thing. And it's like...
Now,
is that
one issue here. This is fine, it's still one shot, but that pan up is quite jarring to come in on, so I'd rather come in a little bit later. And any kind of sacrifice in terms of time below the 15-second marks is kind of good, because you're less likely to get brought up by the algorithm, which doesn't happen that much.
it's about hope and all this kind of thing. And it's like...
So Duncan's talking about how it should be about hope, and then we're showing the him being swallowed by a mountain of skulls.
The absolute kind of icon of that in the Superman fiction is Jimmy Olsen. And your solution to that is to have...
Yeah, okay, grand. Happy with that. I'm kind of inconsistent with how I size these, but it doesn't really matter. In all honesty, I just don't think it particularly matters. They don't have to be that consistent. If I'm using the same clip over and over, and it's different sections of the same clip, I'll just cut and paste those properties, but I really don't think it's a huge issue.
It's about hope and all this kind of thing. And it's like, is that just so that you can then get away with having carnage and stuff like that?
And you pay lip service to stuff, but then you have the absolute kind of icon of that.
Yeah, there we go. I think that's...
Jimmy Olsen. And your solution to that is to have...
That's good. It ends on a point of me talking about Jimmy Olsen. I think I think they don't have to be the exact clips, but I think and they don't have to be thematically linked. I like to thematically link them if I can. So I just think it helps to flow. I think editorially it's just a bit kind of more creatively sound, let's say.
So it's like, put it...
I've just realised I've scrolled to the next bit, and this might make my point completely bankrupt. But let's see, shall we?
I mean, you put him in something that, like, look, if he has to stand up in front of... Chris Reeve was so disarming. He would walk around in that Frankie silly leotard that looked like his mum made it. But that, and I know she didn't in that film, but, like, that is supposed to be like that. He's supposed to, like, no one... It also plays into the whole, like, why doesn't anyone Clark Kent and stuff, because he's supposed to...
Okay, so that's some general Clark Kent, Superman... why do people question Superman mythology type stuff? So that's what we have here. I mean, again, I think it's kind of thematically good, because it's the thing of Lois not knowing that Superman This Clark Kent has been done away with in these films because it's inbuilt, so why not show some important Lois and Clark bonding stuff? So he's going to laser her stomach wound, I guess, as I recall. Ooh, it's so sexy. Sexy wounding. Fucking movie. Jesus Christ. Okay. So I think that's a good... Okay. So yeah, we've got Snyder's editors there. So let's take it from roughly where Snyder cuts away. And let's chuck that in there. And we'll get this to fit. So... Doop-a-doop-a-doop-doop-doop-doop-doop.
But like, that is supposed to be like that. He's supposed to, like, no one...
Okay. Yeah, this is short. I think that flows, but that's short enough to not have to be there, in my view. So let's have it. Get that out. It's short enough to not have to be there.
It's supposed to be like that. He's supposed to, like, no one... It also plays into the whole, like, why doesn't anyone...
You can really fucking hear Duncan's allergies, eh?
He's supposed to be so able to interpret a human, or like, just to project humanity in such different ways.
I mean, that's good, because he's discussing how Superman is, you know, determined to help and stuff. So I think that's a legit bit of stuff. That's good. Again, I mean, I try not to be too kind of glued to literalism, and I know it might seem lazy, but I think as long as the clip is thematically apt, I think it works. So we've got our 5 clips in. So this episode is in theory done. I don't really feel the need to colour correct this. I could do, but I'm not gonna. I don't really feel the need to. I think it's just fine as it is in camera. If you were to do that, you've got the Lumetri colour panel here. So generally when we colour correct stuff, and I do that for pro jobs, you can colour correct here. So I could do some fucking wacky like woo here. Not going to do that at all. I think it's fine. It's just a question of time. You know, because if I have to do this, and again, I've been through the process of colour correcting these episodes before, but it's just getting them out and getting them done. It's very tough to put yourself on a weekly schedule. And we only missed it when I broke my leg, and we were going to break for Christmas anyway. Lol. We were going to take a break for Christmas anyway. That's the only time we stopped since we started, so to speak. So, you know, it's about getting these out on time. We decided very early on that we were going to get something out every fucking Monday, and that's the way that goes.
Thank you very much for coming, and we will see you again soon. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Slightly abrupt on the end, but I wanted to cut on me doing that kind of Shakespearean.
Bye-bye.
There you go. Right, so next thing, it's going to be a bit of a shitter because there's so many layers here. We get we get processing issues. Let me just bring up my spreadsheet. Just a moment, everybody. Okay, no, just a sec, everyone. So, yeah, got my list here. It should be up to date. So if I come in to the text here, because I want to edit that. You're gonna fucking play up, aren't you? You're gonna fucking play up, you wanker. We've got a few incomers, and I hope anyone who's new, I hope you're watching. For this is it's your incentive to be here, really. Alex Godfrey. Don't know if he's watching. This is a test, actually, Alex. If you're watching, Alex is one of my mates from Cambridge. Like, he's one of my friends from school, from like fucking 1997 or whatever. Who I was really surprised when he when he gave to Patreon. Fair play to him. I had to text him, just be like, dude, is that like actually you? So there you go. Sorry to embarrass you, mate, if you're watching. I don't know if you are. You're on the $3 tier, so that's up for you. That's up to you, isn't it, mate? If you want to do that. But yeah, used to go raving with Godfrey. So that's quite funny. Right, so I've cut and pasted all my Patreons from Patreon. Where else? Let's just make sure that get a bit of a hang up here because yeah. There we go. All right. So that should reflect everybody that's joined on. Have a quick. Whoa, okay, one thing's happened that shouldn't have happened. We've got these people's dollar amounts from when I was putting the spreadsheet together, so let's not... Oh, God. Oh, no, well, actually, it's not embarrassing to anyone watching this because you know the tiers. But I wouldn't want to put that out to, say, the public because that's not very nice. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's a British thing or what, but... Okay, let's make sure no one else has got the dollar amount. And plus, if it was just those people's dollar amounts, it would look like it was some kind of fucking call out, like, dude, look how much they give. That was just how I assembled the data earlier. Those have hung on. Okay. Come on, motherfucker, do as you're told. For the love of God. Just get rid of that because those spaces are going to make the text move quicker unnecessarily. Get those out of the way. Let's make sure that's up to date. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, good-o. Okay, so that's one in the can. So basically, that music you hear, it's from the YouTube audio library. That one is... Someone asked the other day. Regimental Pride March. It's totally copyright free. Because, my God, the algorithm is fucking sharp. Right? YouTube will bitch you about Article 13, but they're fucking... It's different when it's they're the fucking ones enforcing this shit. But anyway, not saying Article 13 is good, by the way. I realise that could absolutely doom this entire enterprise, but hey-ho. So, Man of Steel. Dunzos. So, just going to hit export media. So, I mean, there are various options here. We don't really need to talk about them particularly. You can select which area of the project you want to be rendered out. Hold on a minute. That is not doing what I wanted to do. Where's our... Just going to check that adds up, because if that doesn't add up, you're going to render out some stupidly short project and just look like an idiot. 2948-ish. Because I've selected a region somewhere. I put entire sequence. There you go, 2948. Yeah, so here's the project. I'm going to save it in the... Okay, so that's from the Cyborg Cop 2 episode that you will have seen. Oh, man. For fuck's sake. This is a time when Premiere likes to crash for some reason. So we're going to let this have its tantrum. It did just save, so we're okay there. Might have to fucking come out of this wanker. You fucking cunt. Okay. Okay. We are going to get this going before. I think what I'm going to do is probably just send it to encoder, and then change those deets there. I always forget because it's the last thing you do, but every now and then Premiere likes to have a nice big fucking wobbler every time we get there. Okay, so yeah, I've got autosave enabled for every couple of minutes, and Premiere's quite good at backing stuff up. Like crashes are just kind of the name of the game with this shit, but also manual saves are never going to hurt you. So I'm not going to touch any of that. H.264 codec is extremely common. Most projects are going to use H.264 unless you're kind of exporting for some other kind of professional reason. The presets here, I could do it native, all kinds of stuff. It's going to YouTube. Putting it in the YouTube preset means that it will upload to YouTube. It will encode on YouTube quicker, so it takes as long as it takes to upload. But when you put it in that preset, it just means when it comes to the encoding phase, it will do that as quick as it possibly can. I mean, it's questionable, but that is basically true. So you can hit export, and that will export it inside Premiere, or we hit Q. We'll eventually get a bunch of my corporate projects over there, which are not very interesting. It must be said, just to be absolutement about that. They're not very interesting. So here we go. So it wants to put it in Cyber Cop 2 because that's the last thing I exported. So we're going to try and change that and see if it crashes again. Okay, so encoder is going to be our friend. So it ain't broke. We're going to go to the MOS folder. MOS. There you go. So we're going to put it there. MOS, and we're going to hit go. So, like I say, what the sacrifice I make with this is that I haven't exported the intro and outro into separate files. I keep them assembled in Premiere, just because I like to fuck around with them when I can. The sacrifices that these take long to export. It doesn't really matter. I mean, the export times aren't that huge, and to be honest, quite often I'll set one of these off and go to bed, or go out, or go eat, watch some TV, like whatever. It doesn't really matter. And the good thing is as well, I can get my 4 projects queued up in here, hit go to bed, forget about it, done, put it on YouTube, and then the kind of marathon handoff that we have is that I edit everything and upload it, and then Duncan puts the mid-roll ads in, he puts the tags on, he puts the text in. Our man Angelo does all the thumbnails. We have a WhatsApp group with Angelo and Ellie. Ellie does all our socials, so I'll come up with a video, I'll put it in the group, I'll say, Duncan, that's ready, can you do all your shit, do all your tags, do all your description, do your mid-rolls. Angelo, have you got a thumbnail? Or Angelo's usually already got the thumbnail, to be honest. And then I'll say, Ellie, can you post this on social? So I do my own social. Anything with Richard Jackson on it. Anything with Val Verde is done by Ellie. Carley, who is, you'll see in our credits and stuff. Big thanks to those guys. And as I said earlier, Rafael did the animated version of our logo, which I've then kind of put the effects on and stuff since, and Jason Nez did our little, modelled ministry thing. So there are a few hands. So I'll get this done, I'll get this uploaded, and then Duncan will run with it, and Duncan, Angelo, and Ellie take it from here. I do my bit, and then they do their bit, and that's it. I've got 3 more of these to do. I hate to speak for you, and I do hope you agree, but I don't see the value in me just going through the same process again with 3 more videos. I think you've seen it. It might be a bit boring for you. We've been on for an hour, and I hope this has been an interesting video. It wasn't intended as instructional. I just hoped it's interesting. I hope you liked it. So Patreon exclusive, of course. So this is just for you guys that pay $3 and up and that are supporting us and whatnot. So thank you very much. I hope you liked it. If you are interested to see me do more stuff, I'm happy to, I could do an After Effects video, for example, or something like that. Where you'll notice now in Encoder that bottom right of the screen there, the project has started to kind of build frame by frame. So that's that. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing it. I've enjoyed talking to you guys for the last hour or so. That's it. I will see you next time. Goodbye.